Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Lefebvre and my botanical brush set with Craftimo is finally back in stock. So today I'm going to show you how to paint some fall flowers using this exact set. Let's jump in. Okay friends, so here is my botanical brush set from Craftimo. It is finally back in stock after our first run, which sold out so quickly. So we're doing a second limited run. So if you're interested in these, I suggest picking them up sooner than later before we sell out, because I'm not sure when we will get them back in stock again. So this set is specific to creating loose florals like these. It's a 6 brush piece set that includes a 10 round, an 8 filbert, an 8 dagger, a 1/2 inch flat brush, a 1/4 inch flat brush, and a size 1 detail, which is kind of like a liner brush. It's a little bit longer, which I'm going to show you. And in your box, you'll get a card like this that has the florals on the front, and then on the back, there is a link of where you can get a tutorial of how to paint this specific painting. So with that said, I have done an unboxing of these and what each brush does. I can link that video in the description below. But for now, I wanted to show you how to paint some fun fall florals with this brush set. So I have my Academy watercolor block here and my Shinhan watercolor paints, and then my brushes that I have been using. I didn't want to open the new ones, and let's get started. Okay, so the first flower I'm going to paint is a Cosmo. I was trying to look up fall flowers. There's tons of different ones, and it depends on where you live, what's in season, but it's one of my favorite flowers to paint. For this one, I wanted to do like a dark berry looking kind of Cosmo. So I'm going to grab some of my permanent red and then some of my purple. Creates this beautiful fall kind of berry color. And with this brush, my 1/2 inch flat, I love the way it creates petals. So instead of using it flat like this, because you don't want like a flat, sharp edged petal, you're going to tilt it to one corner and you're going to press down gently to one corner, drag it, and then lift. And then you're going to do it again to kind of connect a petal, and you get this beautiful petal shape. I love doing flowers like these. So I'm just going to go around. I'm going to do one that's kind of a little bit of a different perspective. So there's going to be long petals this way and then short, fatter ones this way. So it looks like it's slightly tilted. So I'm going to do another one here. Pressing down, lift, press down, lift. But like, look at those petals. They're like effortless, beautiful petals that aren't too rounded, but aren't sharp. You know what I mean? Like that. I'm going to take off some of the pigment just so I can get some lighter values. Then I'm going to do just kind of like a thinner one that's like a bit of a C curve. And then one that's kind of bigger at the bottom, like so. And it's like super, super simple to do. Then I might take a little bit more of that pigment and just tap it in like that. And I'm going to create the center of it later once it dries. So that's the first flower, super simple. And I'm going to show you again, but with the smaller version of this brush. So I have two. I have a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch, and I just really love that you can do smaller ones, bigger ones with these brushes. So let's do a smaller one with this brush. Okay, same kind of thing. Maybe I'll do it just kind of slightly pointing to the other side. So I'm just going to draw out my center. And then I'm going to do the same kind of thing. A little bit more purple. And just tilting it on that side corner gives you these beautiful shapes. So fun. And then just some shorter, fatter ones down here. Like so. Okay, so you can, I'm just going to lift some color a bit. You can adjust the colors and the shapes of your petals as needed, but that's about it. Honestly, it's so, so simple to use. Might do a little bit of darkness on this one, like that. And that's the first part of our Cosmos. If you want, you can always take your liner brush. I wanted to wait till it dries, but I think I'm a little impatient. And this liner brush, it's a round like detail. I'm going to take some yellow ochre, but it does like the most beautiful fine little lines, which is perfect for centers of flowers or stems. So I'm going to have a little bit of this bleeding into the petals. Just the tiniest little details. It's always great to have a detail brush in your sets. Like that. I might grab a little bit of lighter yellow. Just for fun. Like that. And there's our first fall flower. And if you wanted to, you can grab, I don't know, your round if you want. Grab a little bit of green. Just have a little peek of a leaf kind of coming out the side if you want. Up to you though. This is one of my favorite fall colors. Okay, so there is our first one. Next one we're going to do is a Blackeyed Susan. And for this, I'm going to use the filbert brush. I'm going to start with a dark center. So I have a little bit of burnt sienna here and some indigo. And just using the shape of this brush, I'm going to create the center, okay? And we're going to do like a side view. Maybe I'll try two. And I'm just going to press down and release. Press down and release, okay? I'm going to try to create this whole flower with just this filbert brush, okay? And the great thing about a filbert brush is it has this like effortless kind of rounded petal shape already to it, so it creates petals really nicely. Then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm just going to have that circular bottom like this. Okay, now that that is done, I'm going to wash off my brush. Now you can wait for it to dry if you don't want any color bleeding, but I like a little bit of a color bleed, so I'm going to just keep going. I'm going to take some yellow, then I'm going to place my filbert brush on its side, and I'm going to use light pressure and then heavy pressure and then light pressure to create these petals. Light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure. Now see how that's bleeding? It's because the wet center is touching the wet petal. That one's not touching, so you're not getting that bleed. If you don't like the bleed, you don't have to do it while it's still wet. You can wait, but like I said, I don't mind a good color bleed. I think it looks kind of cool. It also gives it a little bit of, you know, shadow and depth into your petals. So you're just placing the filbert on its side, so you're getting that kind of light, thinner stroke, and you're moving it away from the center, okay? And we can always clean this up if you're getting too much of a bleed and you don't like it. And you're just gonna light pressure, heavy pressure, and drag, light pressure, like so. And you can use this brush for, what's it called? Sunflowers, whatever you want, honestly. Now I might just take my round brush and just clean it up just a little bit. I'm gonna drag some of that brown out, a bit more in a line, just to clean it up just a little bit. Now I'm going to take a little bit of red, just add it to my yellow, and just add a little bit of orange in there, just for a little bit more of a contrast. Give it a little bit more depth, like so. And there is our Blackeyed Susan. So easy to do with this brush. Now, if you want to take it up a little, another notch, we can do a little bit more detail to the center, which we'll do in a second. But you can also just take this brush and create your stem. If you wanted a stem, you don't have to do a stem. But again, on its side, you can create quite like a small line for a stem as well, just using the side of this brush. And I can't remember what the leaves look like for Blackeyed Susans, but hey, create a leaf shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then once it's completely dry, which it's not right now, you can always take your detail brush or your round brush, get a little bit more brown, and then just create a little bit of texture to that top or that center of your Blackeyed Susan. Just for a little bit more detail to make it look a bit more interesting, but that's totally up to you. You can always drag a bit more brown down there, whatever you like, but it's very, very simple to do. Okay, Now we're going to do a carnation. Now carnations are not the easiest, but we're going to give it a go. Okay, for this I'm going to be using my dagger brush, which is a lot of fun to use. Okay, so this is not tricky, but it's kind of interesting in the way that you use it. So I'm going to grab, I think I want to do like a, what do I want to do? Actually, I'm going to do, I love how I'm like talking to myself here. I'm going to make a really light wash of pink here, like this. Then I'm going to load the whole thing with pink, but I'm going to take the back end here. I'm going to try this. I don't even know if this is going to work. The back end here, and I'm just going to dab it into this darker color. Then for our carnation, I'm going to put the tip down, rounded part at the back, and I'm going to place the tip down and then just move the back of the brush around. Okay, it didn't work exactly how I wanted to. The shape is right, but I wanted to see if I could get a darker tip. You could always take the tip of your brush and then just add in a bit more of a darkness there. Let's try again. So see how I left the tip, and I'm just going to move kind of like a jagged petal. Just moving the back around. And I'm going to show you again how to use this brush in a different way, which is really fun. And it doesn't have to be so jagged, but you're just practicing moving that around. Like that. I'm going to grab a little bit more color. Because you know those carnations that have like the colored tips? Then you can always just take the tip of your brush and just create the tip of the carnation, like the little tips of the petals. And they just have these jagged little edges, which I find so cool. This is very, very loose. Does not have to be perfect. I know it kind of looks a little odd, but you got to experiment to try things out. This is my first time trying a carnation like this, so really it could have gone either way. And I'm just going to continue to do little jagged tips. Like that. And then at the bottom here, I'm just going to lighten up the color and just do the kind of bottom bulge here. You know that part, what I'm talking about? So I hope I'm making some sort of sense today. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of the color and just add it towards the tips. Just a little bit more contrast in this. Like that. You can always bring some little lines down, like so. And then you can take your liner brush or your round brush, grab your green, kind of do the little bottom bell part here with a stem. Super easy. I'm going to grab a little bit darker green there. And then I don't remember what the leaves of these look like either. But you can create whatever leaves you like. And again, if you want a little bit more color to some of the tips of these, you can do that. You can do it with your round brush, your dagger. Just add in whatever details you like. I kind of like the look at this one though. Just going to bring a couple little lines going back. Okay. Like so. And there is your carnation. Okay, now we're going to do a chrysanthemum. Now this is a little bit more tricky. I'm going to try it with my filbert brush, but the mums, they have like those smaller little, it would be, actually I'm going to try and do a fairly large one because this is a fairly large brush, but they have those thinner petals that are kind of all clustered together. So I'm trying to think of, I'm going to do more of like an orange one here, a rusty orange one. All right. So I'm going to start small in the middle, and I'm going to put my filbert on its side. And I'm just going to do these little kind of marks, like they're all kind of clustered around, just doing these little curves. And then as it gets bigger, they're going to be bigger curves like this. I'm just going to do little spots here. Little tops to petals over here. Then try and curve some shapes like that. Okay, these like effortless, perfect petal shapes. I'm gonna even mix a little bit with that reddish color. And they're all going back to this centerpiece right here. See here where they're all kind of connected? That's kind of like the base of the mum. So all these petals are all kind of dragging back to here. I'm going to keep evolving the color a bit, changing it, adding a bit more of that reddish purple color. It's a little bit harder to get the smaller strokes up here. But as you do these ones that are kind of fallen a bit more, it's a little bit easier like that. See that? It's a fun flower to do. Does take a little bit of practice. But like look at the edge of these shapes with this filbert, right? And if you wanted to, I'm gonna go right into the center here. I'm just gonna mix these colors together. I'm gonna drop in maybe a little bit of pink, a little bit of purple. I'm just gonna make it a little bit darker there towards the center, and then where they're all meeting, I'm just gonna shape some of these a little bit better. It's a tricky flower, but like it's so fun to do. Get a little bit more orange. Like that, like that. Like that. And then you can always wait for some parts to dry and then do another layer of some petals. You can do it with your round brush, your filbert. It's just putting it on its side to get that thinner look to it. And then again, just a little bit of green if you want to have some green poking out. Stem, leaves, whatever you'd like. Okay, and there is our chrysanthemum, which is so fun. All right. Just doing little bits of greenery there. Okay. All right, then one of the easiest flowers you can do are lavender sprigs, which I love doing. So I'm going to take my liner brush for this one, for the stem. I'm going to grab a little bit of brown, and I'm just going to do kind of like this piecey line. Okay, it can be longer towards the bottom, like not as piecey, and then just piecier towards the top. Okay, then for this one, we've used all of those ones. Let's use our regular old round brush. Okay, I'm gonna grab this lavender color that I have in my palette. If you have ultramarine and like a white, like a pastel kind of white that you can mix it with a tiny bit of purple, you can also get lavender. And all you're gonna do is you're just going to, I'm gonna put my brush upside down and I'm just gonna tap using the shape of my brush. If it's easier, you can always put it upside down too, so you don't have to put your brush upside down. And you can tap like this. And you're just using the shape of the tip of your brush. And you're just doing like a little tap, 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 tap. One of the easiest flowers you can do. Okay, the top one, there's like one at the top, then two to the side. Like that, and like that. Honestly, so easy. And then you can wait for it to dry, or if you don't want to wait, because you know I'm impatient, I'm just going to take a little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of purple. And I'm just going to tap the bottom of some of those colors just for a little bit of shadow. Oops, sorry. like so, just tapping it in. Kind of works nicely if it's wet too, right? So it just bleeds a little bit, but not too much. If you're ever adding a color to get a little bit of a bleed in there, you want to make sure you don't have a lot of water and paint on your brush, or else it's going to take over the whole small area that you're trying to add a little bit of shadow into. So if I have a lot of ultramarine and purple and then a lot of water on my brush, it's going to take over that whole light lavender color, which we don't want. Okay. And then last but not least, we're going to do a sprig of eucalyptus, which is so much fun to do. So for this, I'm going to be using my dagger, which is a lot of fun. So I'm just going to grab some of my perline green, which is a dark green. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to it, just a little bit, to make this like smoky kind of green blue. Then I'm going to water it down a bit. And I'm just going to start with a stem here. Actually, the stem could be brown. I think the stem is brown, to be honest. I'm going to grab my liner brush, just go over that. Add a little bit of brown to it. Okay. Then, move this up so you can see it better. I have my color here. I'm going to start with the one at the top. Again, same kind of idea as the carnation. You're going to place the rounded side down. Tip is going to stay where it is. You're just moving the back of the brush around. You're going to move it that way, and then again you're going to place the tip where it was and move it back the other way, and you get this perfect eucalyptus shape. Again, we're going to do a little stem here, back and forth. Now obviously you're not going to see this exact shape for every single leaf because they could be, you know, folded, different perspectives, so you can just do like one way so it looks like it's kind of a little bit flatter. You could even go right over top of the stem, like there's one in the front, like that. Okay, and just switch it up. But it's like super easy to do and a lot of fun. You can have some a little bit closer, some that bleed into each other. And it's good to kind of have some that are a little bit darker in color as well. Just change up the, oh my goodness, words, Emma. The contrast within the piece, just so it looks a little different. Add some darker bits. It just makes it look a bit more interesting. See that? Have some darker ones, lighter ones. Like so. Okay, and then sometimes I like to go back in with my brown. So I'm going to grab my liner brush again. And I'm just going to go over the stem and maybe even into some of the wet lavender leaves, just for a little bit of a bleed. Now if you're getting any of these, see where there's like a bit of separation between, like there's a dark and the light, and you don't like that, it's just because that light part underneath has already dried and it's creating a harsh line. If you don't like that, take your damp brush and just smooth it all out so it's all the same kind of wetness, amount of wetness. Okay. And that just fixes it. Just do it while that one part is still wet. Okay. And there you go. And there we have our fall flowers using my Botanical brush set. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. If you want to pick up a set of these brushes, make sure to head over to craftimo.com while there are still some left. I hope you guys love them and I hope you have a great day. Bye.